Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to go over my most used / my favorite beauty products of 2019. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and a lot of this stuff is just my most used stuff. It's not necessarily my favorites, but I guess if I use it a lot, that technically does make it a favorite. I think like 99% of this is makeup related. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave. Hit the notification bell so you know I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. Give this a big thumbs up and let's roll. So I think I'm just gonna work my way from the back of my desk to the front. This is not anything that I've loved all year. It's just like my current obsession, and because it's a current obsession, I just really want to share it with you. So this is kind of a little cheap product, but this is a candle. This is a Bath & Body Works candle. This is the Peppermint Marshmallow candle. I'm obsessed with this. If you haven't smelled it, you absolutely need to. It smells so good. It smells so good. I absolutely am obsessed with it. It's kind of like a sweet smell, so if you don't like sweet stuff, I mean marshmallows in the name, you would probably hate this, but I love this. It's super delicious, and the packaging's cute. I love it. So yeah, that's a new guy back there. Let's just get all the like makeup things out of the way. I have 3 perfumes here. They're all 3 Ariana Grande. What's new? Those are like my favorite perfumes. My top favorite perfume ever is the Ari by Ariana Grande. This is a little roller ball that I took with me to Scotland, and oh my gosh, this is delicious. I've used like 5 of these, like the actual bottles, not just roller balls. I'm obsessed with it. It's literally my favorite scent ever. Then I have Sweet Like Candy. This is a roller ball, which I haven't actually used. I have the body mist, which I use all the time. So I just have the roller ball in my bedroom, so that's why I'm just showing you this. The body mist is like almost empty. Like I've used almost all of it. So I just thought I'd share that with you because it looks pretty decent. And then this is Cloud. This is probably like, I don't know how to describe it, but like if you don't like super intense sweet smells, you'd probably really like this. The packaging is super cute. I love it. So the rest is makeup related. So this is the Too Faced You're So Jelly Highlighter. This is in the shade Gilded Champagne. I don't know how many times I use this on my channel, but I know like in my day-to-day, everyday life, I use this quite a bit. This is a really cool, unique product. It's literally jelly. Like, it's awesome. It smells delicious, and it's super fun to like apply. Like, it's incredibly pigmented, and it is really fun to apply because it's like jelly. They can also be a little bit difficult to work with. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you apply too much, it can be really difficult to blend out, especially on top of foundation. You kind of want to take it little by little at a time. I think that's the way I found that I liked it the most, if that makes sense. Also, you want to make sure you put the lid on extremely, like all the way, extremely tight, because it is like liquid. It will dry out. So that is something. And the packaging's super cute. It has gummy bears on it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's super cute. It smells delicious. This is actually a product that is on my lips right now. This is the Beauty Bakery Cake Pop Lippy, and this is in the shade Skinny Dip. This, I think, is my most used lipstick now. Like, I use this color all the time. It goes with everything. Literally every single look I could ever want to do, this lipstick matches. Like, it's incredible. I absolutely love the formula. These are matte, but they're comfortable and they last a really long time, which I absolutely love. Then I have this guy. This is the NYX Matte Liquid Liner. This is in the shade Black. This is my favorite black eyeliner to use, hands down. This is my top favorite. I do have a couple other liners, but this is my favorite liquid liner. It's black, it's completely matte, and it's really easy to use, and it's affordable. So if you have had problems finding eyeliner in the past, like me, I would definitely give this one a shot because it is fantastic and I love it. This is my favorite pencil liner ever of all time. I've used 2 of these. This is the Smashbox Always Sharp Waterproof Kohl Liner in the shade Raven. I don't know what to say about this that I haven't already said about in past videos or on Instagram or whatever. This is the one eyeliner that I recommend to everyone that asks me, what pencil eyeliner should I get? This is always my #1 recommendation. It's high end, but it's definitely worth the price point. It is black, it stays on all day. I literally am obsessed with it. Like, I love it so much. All right, this is something that is not just a favorite this year, it's a favorite, it's been a favorite I think for the past couple of years. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Set and Smooth Normal to Dry Powder in the shade 110 Porcelain. This is my 3rd one of these, and I've hit pan. This is my favorite pressed powder to work with. It makes my skin look beautiful, and I have dry skin and it doesn't make me look extremely cakey, which is a huge thing for me. I absolutely love applying this. Everything like blends out beautifully on top of this, and it works well with every single foundation I've ever paired it with. It's amazing. Then I have the Too Faced It's Banana Setting Powder in the shade Banana Cream. If you were subscribed to my channel at all this year, basically, I know for a fact you've seen this product. I used it a ton, especially before I left for Scotland. I was just constantly using this powder. It is a beautiful powder to set your under eyes with. I don't think it's super brightening, like, at all. I don't think it's a game-changing product. I have said that before, but it is a nice product. It's a nice finishing powder to like set your face with. I don't think it would be good to set your entire face with this because it definitely has a brightening effect to it. I don't even know if you guys can see it, but it's not super intense. But I like to set my under eyes with this. It's really nice, and for a while this was the only product I would use for that. It smells like bananas. It has really adorable packaging, and it even has bananas like pressed into the powder. Like, it's super cute. All right, these are my 2 favorite eye primers ever, and I used them a ton this year. The first one is the Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer. This is an eye primer I know for a fact, if you watched at least 3 of my videos this year, probably 2 out of the 3 I was using this as my primer. This is one of my favorite primers of all time. It's actually the eye primer I used today, but it's not my favorite ever. My favorite ever is the Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. These two together do different things, but these 2 are my absolute favorites to work with. I don't have any drugstore eyeshadow primers. I just don't like them. Like, I don't know what it is about them. I just don't like them. I haven't found one that I like, but these I love. So if you have any other recommendations, I'm ready to try something new, but these 2 are my ride or dies, and I swap between them all the time. So I have 3 different mascaras to talk about because I love mascara. Mascara is one of those things that, in all honesty, if I'm going out the door and I just want a little bit of makeup on, I always put mascara on. Like, it's something that I never skip. This first one is the Maybelline Total Temptation. Maybelline makes my favorite drugstore mascaras, hands down. They're absolutely incredible. This one has a really big wand, but it's not overpowering, if that makes sense. It kind of reminds me of the Too Faced Better Than Sex, just a little bit slimmer and not the like hourglass shape, if you know what that one looks like. But this one does a really good job of volumizing and lifting my lashes, and that is what I typically look for in a mascara. I really want them to volumize and lift at the same time. I don't really care about lengthening, in all honesty. Volumizing is like the biggest thing for me. This one's beautiful. I do wish the packaging was a little bit darker because it gets disgustingly dirty. I don't like that. Then this one's also Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Lash Sensational. This is my favorite mascara I think ever. It's one of my absolute favorites. I use it all the time, and this one has a curved wand, which I absolutely love. It's beautiful to like get right up underneath those lashes, and the bristles on this are really short, which again I really like because it's really easy to get to the base of your lashes and like wiggle it up. I love this. Again, great volumizing. It's incredible. I love this. Now for high end, because I know some people only care about high end stuff, this is actually the mascara I'm wearing today. This is the Benefit Bad Gal Bang, and this had a lot of hype when it first launched, and for a lot of good reasons. The wand is short and plasticky and not very thick, but it's really easy to apply, which I absolutely love. Because the wand is so short and the bristles are so short, you can get right up in there without having to worry about, oh my god, am I gonna poke my eye out? Like, it's super, super easy to use, and the formula is absolutely beautiful. And this mascara actually layers amazingly, which is a huge thing. So a lot of times when you start layering mascaras, they just get super, super clumpy. This one, I feel like you have to apply it for a really long time before it gets clumpy, which is amazing. This guy's sitting over here all by himself. This is a blush. I'm trying to stay like within categories, but in all honesty, I don't think I'll be able to. This is the NARS Orgasm Blush, and this is a blush that has been a cult classic on YouTube for many, many years. I think everybody had used this. Everybody talked about this. I mean, I was like the last person on planet Earth to use this, but it's absolutely beautiful. Again, this was a product that was hyped up for a good reason. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. It does definitely have a little bit of shimmer in it. So if you don't like shimmery blushes or blushes with a sheen, you would hate this, but it's not super, super intensely pigmented to where you dip in once and you're like, oh goodness, what have I done? This is a very, very nice blush to blend out. Like it's not one of the, it's really hard to explain because I feel like if you're not too familiar with makeup, you won't know what I'm talking about. But blushes that you dip in once and you're like, oh my god, like this is way too much. This blush is really, really hard to do that with. It's pigmented, but it's really, really easy to blend out. So if you feel like you have too much in one spot, you can just go back in with a brush and blend it out. It's phenomenal. I love NARS packaging. Just like feeling of it. I don't know what it's called, but I love it. Another blush that I used a lot, again, if you're a subscriber channel, you've seen these. I'm only showing you one, but I have three. This is the Revlon powder blush. This specific one is in the shade Naughty Nude. This is one of my most used blushes because of its color. It is a nude blush and it goes with everything. Literally everything. Now these are not super, super intensely pigmented, but again, I don't mind that. I actually quite like it because they go with everything. They're really, really easy to blend out, but they still give you just like this beautiful, like blushing, glowing from within type of vibe. They're really, really easy to work with. They have really bad reviews. I genuinely don't know why, because I love them. All right, bronzer, quite a bit of bronzer. So this is something that I have used for many, many years. This is the Wet n Wild contouring palette in the shade Dolce de Leche. This is actually a newer one. I completely used one up. This is something that I absolutely love. If you are new to contouring or don't want to spend a lot of money, this is a good way to go. I love using the lighter side to set my concealer and the darker side to contour. They are pigmented, they blend out, they're incredible to work with, and they're like $5, $6. Like it's incredible, and they're huge. Like this pan is huge. I will hold it up to the butter bronzer for size comparison. Like the pan in this is much smaller than this. And because they're so pigmented, you don't need a lot and they last for a really, really long time. Love this. Now the butter bronzer. This is in the shade Light Bronzer. This is a bronzer, again, that I feel like everybody talked about for a really long time, and I was like the last person to try it. But this was a bronzer that I used constantly for months, and I didn't want to put it down. Like this is one of my favorite bronzers ever to work with. It's beautiful when you put it on. It just gives you this beautiful bronze, like I just got done with vacation type vibe. It's beautiful, it blends out beautiful, and it is drugstore. I know Physicians Formula can be a little bit more expensive. I think this specific bronzer is like $14, which from the drugstore can be a little bit expensive, but considering high-end bronzers can range anywhere from that price point to like way up there. It's not super, super bad, but I would kind of experiment. I think they have several different colors now. I think when they first launched, they only had a couple, but now I think they have like 5 or 6. I don't actually know, but I think that's true. I don't know, but I love this. It smells like coconut. I love this guy. All right, this is another really good bronzer. This is the Too Faced Pineapple Paradise Strobing Bronzer in the shade Pineapple Sun. This is like super cute packaging. This is supposed to be like a bronzing highlighting duo. I cannot highlight with this, I'm too fair, but I like to mix them together and just use it all as like a really, really glowy bronzer, and that is my favorite way to use this. Now, there are times where I don't want a super intense glowy bronzer. So the Physicians Formula one does definitely give you a glow, but it's not a strict like sheen shimmer. This one has a little bit of sheen, like shimmer-ish, whatever, to it. It's not like glitter, but if you don't like little bit of sheen satin type of color in your bronzers, you would hate this. So I would just keep that in mind. Maybe go to Ulta and swatch it before actually purchasing it. This is another one of my favorites, obviously, but this is probably, I think, recently my most used bronzer. This is the Tarte Park Ave Princess Amazonian Clay Matte Waterproof Bronzer. I do have the non-matte version and this version. I prefer this one. This one is beautiful. It's very, very similar to this guy. They're not identical, but they are very similar. If you aren't too familiar with makeup or undertones or anything like that, I could easily tell how somebody would think that these are the exact same. This one's just a little bit more pigmented than this one, but depending on your experience and what you want in a bronzer, I would go either way. I personally like them both. I swap back and forth between them all the time. So that's also something to keep in mind. If you just love makeup and you want both, have both. I have both. But I mean, in all honesty, do you need both? No. But I love this. This is incredible. I actually bought this guy on accident, and I'm so happy that I did. Like, it was a great mistake. It was great. And you don't need a lot of this because it is so pigmented, and it's also very easy to go overboard with it. So I would be a little bit careful. So highlighters. Both of my highlighters, unfortunately, are high end. I just genuinely think that those were the highlighters I used the most. Last year, I believe I used Milani like a ton. This year, I really used these two a lot. So the first one, again, is a Tarte product. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Highlighter in the shade Exposed Highlight. This is a gorgeous highlighter. I can't get it open. It has a gold like color to it. It's definitely gold. This highlighter definitely has shimmer in it, which you can see. It's not like really big shimmer or anything, but if you absolutely hate shimmer, you would hate this. Sometimes I don't want to use this highlighter because it has a little bit more of a sheen, not more of like a, I don't want to say like glowing factor, because it is obviously a highlighter, but I feel like it doesn't have the really intense pigment that sometimes I really want. I have to layer this, which again is not a bad thing depending on what I want that day. It can be a really good thing. Now this highlighter is very bam, I'm highlighted in your face, and that is what I love about it. This is the Mary Luminizer by The Balm. Again, cult classic here on YouTube. This is beautiful. This is a champagne color. If you are fair like me, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous highlighter. I love this. I actually bought this at Kohl's, and I have not stopped using it since I bought it. It is absolutely beautiful. I used this on my sister at her wedding. I think I recommend this to everyone that has like a fair complexion because it just looks beautiful. Like, it literally is one of the most beautiful highlighters you could ever put on fair skin. Stunning. All right, before we get to eyeshadow palettes, because we all know how I am about eyeshadow palettes, let's talk about one. Actually, we have two face palettes here. I'm sorry, I thought they were both eyeshadow palettes, but they are face palettes. So the first one is the Tarte Tarteist Pro Glow. There's a lot of Tarte and a lot of Too Faced. I didn't actually plan that, but that actually happened. So this is a contour palette that looks like this. I cannot use these two highlighters here. They are too dark for me. These two, however, I absolutely love. This is one of my favorite contour colors to work with. It's the shade Sculpt in here. This is the only cream contour shade I have, and there's a reason for that, because this is the best one. However, I definitely use these three the most. I like to mix these two highlighters, so Strobe and Stunner, together. I think one is just a little bit too glittery, and the other one doesn't have that like wow factor, so I like to mix them together and I get the perfect in between what I want. Depending on what I want that day, I'll put a little bit more of one other than the other. But Sculpt is definitely my favorite thing to contour with. However, it is really intense. So if you are not careful, you can definitely have too much on your brush at once, and it can be a little bit difficult to blend out, because typically when you're contouring, you're using a little bit more of a denser brush, and that can cause it to be a little bit more difficult to blend out. But if you're patient, it can blend out. It's beautiful. This palette is incredible, and it has a lot of different things you can do with it, with only having 6 different things in it. But I love it. Beautiful. Another thing is a highlighting palette, and this is the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey palette. This is beautiful. Again, I can't use these two because they're too dark on me, but this one right here is my absolute favorite. It is, spoiler alert, I've been notified that I say that funny, but that is my absolute favorite shade in this entire palette. Again, if you have fair skin, you would love this. It's not too dark. It has a gold tone to it, but it's definitely more like a white gold. So even on fair skin, it doesn't appear as like an orange or yellow stripe across the face, which is something that I struggle with a lot with gold undertones and highlighters. This one's beautiful. It is so easy to blend these out. It is incredible. If you think you applied too much, you can easily just take a makeup sponge and just dab over it lightly, and it fixes it. It's incredible, plus it's affordable. I love it. Alrighty, so we have a couple more things, our eyeshadow palettes, and then we have the eyeshadow palettes. Alright, so this is the Smashbox Always On liquid lipstick in the shade Tar Pit. This is just a solid black lipstick, and I was searching for a liquid, actually I was searching for a black lipstick that was actually black for a really long time, and then I found some that were like liquid lipsticks, but they bled really bad. This one is incredible. It doesn't bleed, it's black, and it stays in place all day. It is my favorite black to work with. A lot of people can be scared by black lipstick, and I understand why. It definitely is a scary color a little bit, but I absolutely love it once it's actually on. Getting it on, I think, is the scary part, because if you mess it up, you're like, it's never going anywhere because it's black. But it's beautiful. I absolutely love this guy right here. Then I have, of course, my Lubriderm Daily Moisturizer. This is what I use as a primer a lot. This is my favorite moisturizer, I think, of all time. I use this guy every single time I wash my face, every single time I get out of the shower. Most of the time when I put my makeup on, this is what I use as a primer. This is something that I take every single time I travel. I'm always taking this with me. It is my favorite moisturizer ever, and I had to mention it because I use it all the time. Then I have this guy. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Concealer. This specific one is in the shade Alabaster. I have 3 different shades of this. That is how obsessed I am with this concealer. This is my favorite concealer of all time. It is beautiful. It doesn't crease on me, and I think this is the only concealer ever that I've ever tried that doesn't crease on me, and that is a huge thing for me. And I'm obsessed with it. It blends out, it covers, it's full coverage, it's beautiful. Jack is making a crap ton of noise, so I'm so sorry if you hear him. This is my favorite foundation ever. It's really expensive, so I'm sorry. This is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation in the shade Mont Blanc. This is the best foundation I have ever used in my entire life. This foundation is $50. $50. And it is incredible. It doesn't cling to my dry skin. It has a beautiful radiant finish. It's full coverage. If you have dry skin and you have not tried this, you need to. You will thank me later. This is really expensive for a foundation, like stupid expensive for a foundation, but 150% worth it. It is absolutely incredible. I love this guy. I use him all the time, especially when I want my foundation to last. If I want my foundation to last, this is the foundation I'm putting on regardless of where I'm going. Then I have this guy. This is the Body Shop Cocoa Calming Face Mist. I actually bought this when I was in London, and I haven't used it too much, but I absolutely love it. So I wanted to include it because I have posted about it several times, especially on Instagram and things like that, to my story or whatever. This is a product that I'm constantly using. Even, I use it most often, I think, off camera, but it's beautiful. It smells like coconut. Amazing. Then this whole collection I love. This is the Sephora collection Lash Stories. This style is Lash Away. I have like 4 styles of these. These are my favorite lashes to wear. I'm not super into wearing lashes. I find them kind of uncomfortable, but the Sephora ones are by far my favorite ones to wear. They are the most comfortable in my opinion, and definitely the most affordable from Sephora. They're not the most affordable ones, you know, ever, but they're definitely worth it. I've tried some really affordable ones that just did not do anything for me. So these guys I absolutely love. All right, so now let's get to the palettes, which is something that I know a lot of you are like, oh my goodness. I am an eyeshadow palette whore, and this is a fact that I think every single person who's ever spoke to me knows. I love eyeshadow palettes. I love eyeshadow. It's my favorite thing in makeup, and I have a bunch of them to talk about. So I'll try to speed through this. The first one is this big guy right here. This is the Morphe James Charles. This is a palette I used a lot this year. And this is a palette that I see myself continuing to reach for, which is a big thing when you have as many palettes as I do. So this is what the palette looks like right here. It is fantastic. Every single color you could ever want in a day-to-day world is in this palette, which is incredible. And it is massive, but they do have a little one out now, which I think is super cute. I'm not gonna get it because I don't really need both, but this guy, incredible. I love the bottom two rows here, the colorful rows. Those are my favorite to work with. The top three, I pretty much have these in like every palette ever, but as you see here, warm tone neutrals are my thing. So even though I have these colors in like 6 other palettes, I still use them. But these colors, these colorful shadows up here, are incredible to blend out. They are pigmented, they blend out beautifully. If you've not tried this, you need to. Again, this was a product I was hyped about, and I know some people don't like when products are hyped about, because I understand that it can get annoying and you're like, oh my god, that palette again. But this, again, is a palette that truly deserved its hype. It was beautifully thought out, and you can definitely tell that a lot of work went into this, and I love it. All right, then I have this guy. This is the Tarte Adeline Morin palette, I think. First off, packaging is adorable, has lemons on it. This, to me, is the perfect traveling palette. Blush, highlight, eyeshadows. These are like the 9 eyeshadows that I use the absolute most on a day-to-day basis. And this blush, this highlighter, phenomenal. This is what I took with me when I saw Ariana Grande in concert in Chicago. This was the products I took with me. I didn't even take a separate blush. I just took this, and it worked out beautifully. I love this palette right here. It's so travel friendly, and I love that. I love the packaging. I love the colors. The pigmentation is beautiful. The blendability is phenomenal. This is a palette that, again, I absolutely 100% recommend to everyone. I don't know if it was limited edition or not, so that is the one thing that kind of makes me sad, because I really hope it wasn't. Then I have 2 Too Faced palettes. This first one is the Too Faced Razzle Dazzle Berry Eyeshadow Palette, and it smells like raspberries, and it looks like this. This is a purpley toned palette. This is cool tone, which is weird because typically I don't really love cool tones, but this palette is incredible. I loved this palette. I loved it. I absolutely love putting this in my crease as my transition, and then this one in my crease, and then one of these two all over the lid. In all honesty, most of the time it's this one. But I love this palette. Again, it's super cute. If you wear shades like this a lot, it would 100% be worth getting just to travel with, because it is super tiny, which I love. Then I have this guy. This is my favorite palette of all time. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. This is the original Chocolate Bar. I will never, ever in a million years get rid of this. This is such a staple palette for me. Like, this is a palette that I will constantly have. And this is also a palette that people say is super boring. I don't see that. Like, I see that this palette has a lot going for it. I know that a lot of people just see it as like a neutrally toned neutral palette, which again, it is. I mean, it is a neutrally toned neutral palette, but this palette is my absolute favorite. It smells like chocolate. I need to stop talking about it because I'm pretty sure every single time I talk about my favorite palettes, this one's in there. 2 things left. The first one is the Warrior by Juvia's Place. You guys are gonna yell at me. This is just a warm tone neutral palette. but it's beautiful. I love Juvia's Place. The shadows are actually on my eyelids today, or Juvia's Place. This palette is incredible. Again, this is just a beautiful staple palette for me. I use it all the time. These shimmers are metallics. They're not just shimmers, they are straight metallics. So I can justify my purchase because they're metallics, not shimmers. However, I do have shades like this in like 10 other palettes, but I absolutely love this. In all honesty, this is a palette that I don't ever see me having or getting rid of it. I don't ever see myself getting rid of it. I am losing my mind over here. But I'll stop talking because the next thing I want to talk about is a whole line. So I want to talk about these. These are the Sephora Pro Pigment palettes. And this one is in the shade, or this one is Smoky Jewels. This was the first one I ever bought, and these are really expensive. I mean, like, they are really expensive, but they are pressed pigments. These are amazing, and I love working with them. I absolutely love working with them. So this is Smoky Jewels, and I just love, look at it. It is so stunning. I saw this online and was like, okay, like that's ugly. But when I saw it in person, I was like, oh my God, give it to me. I love this. The mattes in these 6 palettes are my favorite things ever. I like the shimmers, but I prefer the mattes, which is weird because usually it's vice versa. But these guys are incredible. I did a review over all 6 of them, and I have all 6 of them. I only pulled one out because I was like, I'm not gonna show them all 6 because I could talk about them forever. So that's why I'm kind of speeding this along here because I don't want to talk too much about it. But I love, love, love these. I actually use them quite a lot considering how many palettes I have. I think last time I counted I had like 76 eyeshadow palettes, and these guys are definitely some of the most used because I absolutely adore them. They are incredible. Pigments can be difficult to start using, but once you get used to them, they can be really, really nice to work with. I would not recommend using a concealer as a base. They just don't seem to blend out very well on top of them. But I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but that's just personally, I would not recommend it because they can go a little bit patchy. I would recommend using like an actual eyeshadow primer. The Lorac one is my favorite one to use with pressed pigments like this over the Smashbox one. I just think it just does a little bit better of a job of like gripping onto it without causing them to go patchy, if that makes sense. But these guys are incredible. They're super expensive. They're well worth it. That is everything. That is all of my yearly favorites, my most used makeup throughout the entire year. So subscribe my channel before you leave. Hit my notification bell so you know I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. Give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video.